Chapter 2. My family. My homeland of Romania, a country in Eastern Europe, has high mountains and plains with wheat fields. You can often see shepherds playing the flute as they watch over their sheep. In the villages, people paint their houses blue, green, mauve, or pink. Some even have flowers painted on them. People walk the muddy roads or go by horse-drawn caravans. The towns and cities have universities and schools with teachers and museums. There are broad sidewalks and shaded by trees. The busy streets bustle with cars, trams, and buses. In the spring, rows of lime trees spread a perfume of lemon and honey. In the summer, gardens have roses full of fragrance. Out of their velvety petals, women make a rose confiture, a fancy jam served to guests on little plates with a glass of cold water. You might think that everybody is happy in such a country, but it is not so. The communists tried to make Romania an atheistic country, a land with no church, no God, and no Bible. That made the Romanian people very sad. I grew up in the city of Iași, in a small house with a garden and fruit trees. Our family had 5 children at home: Dionysie, Aurora, me, Constantine, and Theodore. Dionysie was the oldest. He had brown eyes and brown hair, like mine. Aurora had auburn hair and freckles with green eyes. Constantine was skinny and fair. Theodore had blue eyes and light brown hair. We were all different, but got on well together, especially at playing games. One warm spring day, my mother was cooking outside at her brick stove in the shade of a walnut tree. She was small, a stocky woman who constantly kept busy cleaning, sewing, washing, and cooking. I will butcher 2 chickens and I will make a delicious borscht, especially for Sunday, she said. Her dark eyes gave each of us a look that promised would be expected to help prepare the meal. Sure enough, after she smoothed her apron over her dress and tightened her scarf over her long black braid, her next words were, "I will need your help, children." Soon we all gathered around her and helped pull off the feathers and wash the meat. Aurora peeled the potatoes. Mother cut the carrots and the onions very fine. I picked fragrant herbs from our garden, green parsley, dill, and sage, and brought them to my mother. Dionysi gathered wood for the fire. Soon the soup was boiling in the large cooking pot. Mother loved that pot, even though it didn't have a lid. My mother knew how to make the borscht just right, seasoned with lemon juice and herbs. Soon it was ready, and our mouths were watering. "Look what I found," Dionysi announced. A bottle of perfume. He was 11, and he was curious about everything, especially things he shouldn't be playing with. "Let me to look at it," I asked. "Let me smell it," Aurora pleaded. Me too, Constantine and Theodore screamed. "I will open it and let each one smell it," Dionysus said, jumping up and down, and all the children's hands grabbed at the bottle. But I want it back. Splash! The open bottle of perfume landed in the cooking pot. We children froze, watching in horror as the perfume spilled from the bottle and mixed in with the soup. Mother tasted the soup. "You spoiled my borscht," she scolded. "Now I have to throw it away." She gave Dionysi a good spanking. Father had just come in from work. "Don't throw it away," he said. "I will eat it. Everything tastes good when you are hungry. If I only had this soup when I was in hiding from the Nazis." For a whole week my father ate perfumed borscht. He never said a word about it to Dionysia. My father seemed to be a big man, though he was not tall, but there was something big about the way he wore his white trousers, suspended by braces, and something brave about his nearly bald head. Maybe this was because he had lost most of his curly brown hair while sick and starving in hiding from the Nazis. His eyes were brown and lively, and his nose large and pointed. To me, he was big in every way. That was important. My father was a Jew who believed that Jesus was the Messiah. Though he was forced to live in great poverty because of his faith, he was always joyful. He treated his enemies with respect and humor and prayed for them. Every morning my mother gave him 2 baked potatoes to take to work for lunch. The rich communist ladies in his office loved him. They would sometimes secretly replace his lunch with their expensive meat sandwiches. "Police!" my father would shout, while the ladies roared with laughter. "Police! They stole my potatoes!" My father used to play the violin, mandolin, and other instruments. For several years he had been the assistant conductor at the Philharmonic Orchestra in Yash. My mother said she fell in love with him when she heard him play the harp. He tried to get each one of us to play at least one musical instrument. I learned to play the mandolin well. Once he came home with an old, famous Steiner violin he had found in a second-hand shop. He tried it and sounded beautiful, but my mother scolded him. "You spend my grocery money. Now I will not have enough for food." She went on at him for a few minutes, at which he would bite his lips and say to himself with a smile, "Don't answer back, Nikolai, shut up." While she was still flustered, he had sat down on the bed, and we heard a loud crack. He had sat down on the violin. Then my mother started to laugh, and so did the rest of us. He repaired it, but it never sounded the same. Our house was often watched by the secret police. They would have loved to catch my parents holding a prayer meeting. Then they could have fined them or put them in prison. One rainy, chilly evening, about 9 o'clock, my mother had just come in from shutting the hens in the hen house. "Kulitsa," she said, "there is a raincoat on one of our vines. I wonder if the wind might have brought it or what." "A raincoat?" my father asked. "Let's have a look. I could do with one." He went out at the back of the garden, and we all followed him. "There," he said. But as he got hold of it, a man jumped up from underneath and ran away. My father ran after him, and we all followed him. "Stop, I'm going to shoot you! Bang, bang!" my father shouted, joking, while pursuing him. The secret policeman jumped over the fence. We jumped over too, shouting, "Stop! I'm going to shoot you! Bang, bang!" The agent disappeared in the night, and we turned back. My father found one of his shoes in the fence. He wrapped it with a raincoat in a newspaper and took the parcel the next morning to the secret police. "I surprised a thief last night in my backyard. It should be easy for you to identify him from this," he told the officer on duty. "Leave them here, Mr. Sfatcu," he said, embarrassed. After that, my father was careful what he said in the house. He shared sensitive things only as he walked with us in the street or in the park. In the evening at home, we often played as an orchestra, and my mother hummed along. We also prayed together, and my father read to us from the Bible. To worship the Lord was risky, but that was the secret of our strength as a family.